Jordan Peterson has said before that it is impossible to be a Christian and a Marxist. This is 100% true. Christianity has more than a millennium of history of promoting individualism, whereas Marxism has 150 years of promoting forced collectivism. Christianity says people have intrinsic value. Marxism says you're a product of your class consciousness. Christians say do unto others as you want done unto you. Marxists say freely discriminate against anyone who discriminates against you. Christianity is the golden rule. Marxism is taking an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Christian teaching has often promoted the intrinsic value of human beings, whereas Marxists have promoted identity politics. The origin of that thought is the socialist organization called the Combahee River Collective. The socialist ideal is a return to tribalism and vitriol. Even though the extreme left and extreme right share many beliefs, they tend to hate each other. Both sides continue to advocate for a return to segregation. While far-right neo-Nazis do it from prison, the far left does it from college campuses. Both sides eagerly reduce people to abstract color categories, all the while feeding off of and legitimizing each other, while those of us searching for gray areas and common ground get devoured twice. Both sides mystify racial identity, interpreting it as something fixed, determinative, and almost supernatural. For Mr. Ta-Nehisi Coates, whiteness is a talisman, an amulet of eldritch energies that explains all injustice. For the abysmal early 20th century Italian fascist and racist icon Julius Evola, it was a metabiological force, a collective mind spirit that justifies all inequality. In either case, whites are preordained to walk that special path. It is a dangerous vision of life we should refuse no matter who is doing the conjuring. Ta-Nehisi Coates has a laundry list of bad takes. One is the idea that if a minority bullies another minority within the United States, it is still a sign of white supremacy. That take is so asinine that it seems like spending a portion of your life refuting it would be a waste of time. From Politico. Given how large race hatred looms in the world of Coates, I was surprised to find the worst thing that evidently happened to him directly at the hands of a white person is recounted beginning on page 93 of the 152-page book. Coates took his son to a movie theater on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and when they were leaving and got off the crowded elevator, a white woman pushed his kid and said, "Come on." Many of you are probably also aware of the fiasco at Evergreen College in 2017 where Brett Weinstein protested a day of absence. On that day, white people were not allowed to enter campus. Fortunately, after Evergreen went woke, it is now going completely broke. This is the trouble with extremist ideologies. They tend to focus almost purely on group-based identity politics. Much more than conservative or liberal moderates, they assume intrinsic worth based on these identities, as opposed to the identity established by that individual. The reality is that there is much more variation between individuals than there is between groups. We should not support the racialism of Ta-Nehisi Coates and Richard Spencer because it is impossible to reconcile with the gospel, which, as the Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr., famously said, directs us to judge not by the color of one's skin, but by the content of one's character. Near the heart of the power of identity politics is its power to explain, to absolve, and to bind. It explains the tribe's suffering by blaming those outside of it. This absolves those who embrace the identitarian ideology of their sins and releases them from the responsibility to examine their own consciences in light of the transcendent truth. And it binds them in a brotherhood of the sanctified, sanctified not because of anything they have done or accomplished, but simply by their membership in the tribe.